Hello there, commanders, and welcome back to War Games Institute Tournament number 2. We are in the second semi-final, second battle on Oasis between White Wolves and Geese. Yep, that was a very weird name, but we've been over it. And if I knew that was Oasis, I could have prepared some more appropriate music rather than Vikings. But maybe some of them have made it on the Oasis one time. Let's see what both teams are up to. Blue team, the White Wolves team, are sending quite a substantial force to the left flank. They're sending their archers in there. Let's see, let's look at the draft. No elephants for the White Wolves team and only one elephant for Geese. No cavalry there. That's a very interesting draft. Literally all infantry and one elephant. No ranged units, even no dogs, no folksmen. Maybe some of those swords are barbarian swords, let's see. Those are barbarian swords on Boudica. We're probably taking them for rebellion, but then again, why not folksmen? I think folksmen are better. But then again, maybe I'm mistaken, what do I know, especially about melee units. Okay, both teams sending things to sea. So I have a little bit of a deja vu from the previous battle, or not previous battle, as in the previous battle on Oasis. There we go. A very nice God of War over here, making sure that unit doesn't rout, but it wouldn't have routed anyway. And yeah, the main fight is looking to come out over here, rather erupt over here. So let's see how that goes. We again are following our Hannibal triple phalanx at Porta's pull-through guy, and let's see how effectively he right-clicks forward, which is, well, the correct thing to do in many scenarios, especially when you're facing ranged units. But, spoiler alert, they are not facing ranged units. The elephant is disrupting the archers a little bit, but archers split up very nicely, although not entirely, because two units were being pursued instead of just one. But they have still taken that elephant down by landing some nice reshots. Cavalry is going to deny. Okay, is it? I don't know. It's going to almost get routed. Okay, but well, they have Foxmen out there. They have applied some flanks and maybe route that unit and kill it off entirely, as they tried to secure the healing zone to be open and not contested. But yeah, White Wolves simply have huge numbers advantage over here. They're going to push through it, and I just expect them to take D very quickly, as healing zone is just not available at all. Nobody's going to respawn there as well because it's early in the battle. White Wolves almost that unit I think was routed for a while. Warcry passes side flank. They need to find another flank. It's a 3v2. There we go. Another flank has been found. Now that unit is going to get routed, and NC is going to also fall under the control of. Ooh, that's clutch. He's going to be. Why are you standing there throwing Pila? Get on top of the point. They drafted an entire melee composition, and yet they made a ranged meta meme. Where ranged units cannot walk onto a point, and they can only shoot because they die as soon as they walk onto it. Well, not as soon, but yeah, pretty much essentially. Instead of if he just walked forward and got over the point, he would have contested it in time before it got flipped. Holy shit, that's a huge misplay by the Geese team. They had an advantage over here, right? They sacrificed deep flank in order to win on E, but then they get backcapped by two cavalry units. They didn't keep anything, or maybe they kept that one unit over here, but it went forward, and then, even though it could have gone back in time, he didn't, because he decided to throw Pila for some reason. Unless that Pila throw completely erases those two units and stops them from capturing that way, it's not worth to throw that Pila at all. It's like if the ranged is trying or pretending to contest a point because, well, they're shooting, right? But no, they're not on top of the point, right? They can't actually contest the point. So there we go. Now those units are going to cavalry is going to be killed, and E is going to be taken back. But does it set back Geese team enough, or will they still be able to capture B? that pike duel is definitely being won by the Geese team, and yeah, the pike phalanx was used by both units, but the Russian pikes emerge victorious over the Polish pikes, and B is going to be captured. So yeah, B most likely would have been captured earlier, although, well, it was just now contested. And well, they didn't get points for E, so they have definitely been set back a little bit, but maybe not as much as it could otherwise been. So yeah, a little bit of a misplay there by Geese, but not that much. And I did say maybe the Russian pikes, maybe they were Ukrainian, or maybe they were Belarusian, who knows, I don't know. Why have I said that? The Geese pikes. Okay, so now that Geese is fallen extremely behind at the beginning, well, how do they get back into the battle? They are... okay, what are they doing? They're sort of attacking D, but sort of attacking C. I would definitely just try to commit to 1, and given that they control this part of the map, they have a healing zone over here that is close by to C. This healing zone is arguably also close to C, and so is this one, close in air quotes. But they're definitely much closer to C than they are to D, maybe with the exception of this healing zone. It's roughly the same distance. C is going to be contested, that's what they're focusing on. They're trying to just... they're pushing towards D, but they're not pushing, they're not getting on top of it. They could send an elephant over there, but I think that elephant would be better utilized if it was to deny the healing zone at C. But where is that elephant? It's dead. Okay, no wonder I cannot see him. So they need to bring back that elephant on one of the healing zones. They need to use that elephant to deny the healing zone, possibly combine with pikes as well. That's a really nice pike phalanx over here, blocking the incoming melee units from reinforcing C. And yeah, looks like they're in a pretty strong spot to take C. Some of... oh, that's Hannibal pull through. Yeah, Hannibal can pull through on top of the point. Question is, how long can he contest that, and how much damage he can deal before he is being killed. You definitely need to surround that Hannibal, but surrounding doesn't really work because it has access to determination, although now it is on cooldown for 20 seconds, so you have 20 seconds window to run at Hannibal. But Hannibal, quite well, isn't pushing through that much, it's just on top of the point, and that's good enough. He's not trying to deal as much damage as possible in here, he's trying to buy as much time as possible. The one is going to be flanked and routed before determination comes up. Another unit is going to suffer the same fate if that holds on to. Clutch determination, very last second coming in. Vici being cast a little bit too early, not preventing the activation of determination. And now that unit is also back under control. Morale is not going to be dropped, but it has suffered quite a lot of damage. It has also dealt quite a lot of damage. So maybe White Wolves will be able to hold onto the point. They have the healing zone, but it's being denied here, so they cannot heal up. They're running all the way back to A. They also have healing zone at D. So both teams, they're using here healing zone at D, so they're using the healing zones of the respective flanks that they have won. But White Wolves have also launched attack onto B. There is no attack onto D from the Geese team. So yeah, White Wolves are looking pretty well in here. They did manage to hold on to C. That was a good play out of the Hannibal player. He has bought enough time. I mean, is it enough time? Because the contest is still going on, but all these units out of the Geese team are very weak, on the brink of being deleted, and all archers are not being disrupted, so they will be able to clean it up. And if only a Scipio could get in there and just Warcry, he would rout half of those units, if not more. We do see some reinforcements coming in for the Geese team, and there are no reinforcements coming in from the healing zone behind C, because that is being completely denied by pike phalanx. And even somebody respawns in there, he would just immediately die to that pike phalanx, which at the very least suffer a huge amount of damage. That's why they decide to spawn on top of D. They know that the distance is not that far either, so you can get onto C quite quickly and quite conveniently. And it's actually a question, is that healing zone provided by D closer to C? or is that side closer? I mean, this is not straightforward. So even if the distance, craft distance, straightforward line is almost the same, this one is definitely quicker because it doesn't go around that much. But it is easier to be denied, right? Because this is just in a side of tall grass in an open area. This one is on top of a hill that is much more difficult to get on top of. That being said, that's exactly what's happening, and that cavalry is on top of the healing zone, as the Geese team has opted to not bring any cavalry into the battlefield. The only special unit they have is really an elephant. Well, they also have pikes, so I guess that's a special unit as well. But other than that, no archers, no cavalry, and only one elephant, so that's not much. I'm not a fan of one elephant. I think you need at least two. Preferably just bring all three, but at the very least two. And White Wolves are going to hold on to C. They are they're not going to get B, as the Geese are going to hold on to B, but all you need to do is just hold on to the points you have and White Wolves win. That's essentially what they're doing. C contest is finally going to be stopped, as that unit finally routes eventually, or is being pushed out over the point. There we go, C no longer contested. Another unit tries to come in. This time it just looks like desperation, like they're throwing one unit after one unit after one unit after one unit, and they all just keep dying to the blob that is controlling the entire area. So the Geese need to reorganize and launch one good coordinated push rather than what they're doing here. And we'll see if they can do that. That blob of animal spears is trying to push through now and dealing a lot of damage, and not being surrounded as it is being protected from the sides. Archers are being moved against it, so there we go. That's a pretty good counter, as they are in pike phalanx. They cannot go into shield skin or raised shields. Do they even have that available? Yeah, they do have raised shields. But if they do go into raised shields, they are not in pike phalanx. If they're not pike phalanx, they can triple pull through. So using archers as a counter to that is the correct decision. But the damage output that archers are providing is nowhere near as big as the damage output of that Hannibal. Outporters is still going to last for quite a while, for more or less 15 seconds. He now needs to pull through a Hazardable spears. So the bigger blow up you send against Hannibal, maybe the more you push it back or slow it down, but I'm not sure about that. Elephant is now coming in. He could stomp and make a lot of way for the spears, but instead of synergizing like that, they're just going to put it on top of C, start contesting, deny that point gain. And well, they're doing a good job at it. D is also being contested by one unit, and as the cavalry comes in, that unit should be routed and killed, and the contest be stopped. So we'll see how that huge coordinated attack of the Geese team is going to go, which is essentially what they're doing. They have maybe bought some time, they caused some chaos with the units they were sending in, and now a huge attack is being launched. Very nicely found flank over there by the Geese team. It is going to be responded by some of the units that have detached from this engagement. But if they do, well, that opens more opportunity to even more flanks, and it's going to be double, triple sandwiches. This is a first sandwich, a second sandwich, and if those units come in, that's a third sandwich. So triple stacked sandwich there. Units just teams just piling units one of another over and over and over and again, fighting more and more flanks. But slowly but surely, the Geese team is winning that engagement over here. Triple Hannibal spears, again trying to be the hero of the day. They don't have access to outporters though, so just the regular triple phalanx pull through. It is still going to be quite powerful, but not nearly as powerful as it will be with outporters. They are going to make it on top of C, they are going to start contesting. The question is, can they actually bring and heal up some units? They are healing up. They could respawn a player over there. Yep, that's what is happening. As this time around, the healing zone is not being denied. So can they capture the point quickly enough before those reinforcements arrive? That is the question. Hannibal, almost dead. but still pushing through in hoplite phalanx towards his own healing zone right now. Now turning around, maybe realize, okay, I'm just gonna get a good flank, so I'm just going to buy as much time as possible and die in here. Cavalry now charges in, buying even more time, also doing some nice amount of damage, but it needs to pull out, otherwise it's going to get cut down pretty quickly and easily by those Caesar swordsmen. They're not pulling out, but are those Caesar swordsmen actually trying to target them? Is the question. Maybe that's Chinese cavalry. Chinese cavalry is quite OP with the raw stats, but there we go. Suffering quite a lot of damage now as it pulls out, so maybe a little bit later. Maybe you should have just pulled out and just not suffered the pull-out damage, pull-out penalty. But that attack of the Geese team wasn't strong enough to capture C. So, yeah. They haven't denied the healing zone this time around, and their attack was quite powerful, but again, not enough, not as powerful as the power of the healing zone. Dun dun dun. The advantage that the defenders get is definitely very, very, very significant. And here you have, actually, they do like the Carthaginian triple phalanx pull through that much that they have even brought it on Hazardable spears as well. Well, I think the Greek pull through is also very powerful with Leonidas and his shield bash, and he's also unable to rout because of hold the line. So that's a drafting error, maybe. I mean, there are arguments to be made for both of the commanders. Maybe what they were looking for was a little bit more speed, which is what Hazardable provides, and healing as well is quite unique. So if there is a unit that they need to support with double pay, it's not only about healing, it's also about the stats it provides. So they want to pile some additional buffs onto one particular unit. Hazardable is better. If that's what they were looking for, that's completely valid choice. And yep, there's not much to say more about that. Now, Geese team, after failing the attack at C, is going to try attack D instead. The other option, obviously, is just capture the base. You are in firm control over B. B can't really be threatened. This healing zone is close by, but B is in such a position that you cannot really attack it properly. As long as it is being defended properly, you just put some pike phalanx in there as they are, and it should be fine. But as they would attack onto the base, that healing zone that is provided by C essentially enables attacks from all directions. So going for base capture is very, very risky on this map, given how the C healing zone is positioned that they do control, or the White Wolves control. So going for D is another option, but again, you don't have any healing zone nearby. So attacking C is better because healing zone provided by by B is closer to C than any healing zone you have provided. Any healing zone you have to D. So going for D is a weaker tactic, but given the situation on the battlefield, seeing how the White Wolves forces are spread out, going D is valid. Now they're going to use their elephant to deny the healing zone, and maybe scare off some archers, so they cannot really do that much. Another unit of infantry is being put there out of the healing, but it can be easily routed. Elephants cannot be routed, so they are perfect units for doing such things. And the infantry, well, not so much, and I expect to see it routed. Cavalry charge through the elephant, flank being applied, but God of War is neutralizing that, but God of War obviously is not going to last long. Two flanks are still there. And do you need a third one? You do need a third one, because it would end up on 8 morale. If how it is right now, although now it's a rear flank, the side flank is dropped. So you need one more side flank, and that should round the unit. There we go, -4 morale, it will round. Just barely, but it will. And elephant is stomping water. And, well, White Wolves are only 450 points away from victory, given they are only gaining 1.1 point per second. And there we go, the Russian team, or Eastern European team, let's say that, have gone for the base capture. So a very risky strategy, but they have gone for it. But, I mean, they're contesting C as well, they're contesting D as well. So if you're going to commit to a base capture, commit literally everything to a base capture. Try to hold out the enemy units out of the base and capture that way, rather than trying to keep them out of the base by contesting other points and diverting their attention there. D is probably going to be captured, but it's going to be too little too late. You would also need to control C as well to maybe have a chance of coming back. I mean, okay, if they cap D, once they cap D, and that's going to happen soon, they need to put something on A ASAP. There's nothing in there. Just put something there, start contesting and capturing it. Put an elephant on C, which is what they're doing, but that elephant isn't very healthy. So if they contest C all the time and they capture A, that's the only way they can win. But they're not sending anything to A. It needs to be contested. The point gain from A needs to be denied as quick as possible, because every second A is not being contested, and that is every second closer for White Wolves to achieve victory. So now, as Geese have sent a lot of forces to D, White Wolves are trying to retaliate towards B. Let's see if they will be able to do that. Looks very promising. Healing Zone is going to be denied by multiple melee units, and there is only one player of triple Hannibal pull-through on top of B defending it. Their archers being sent against it, and large amounts of melee force. So no healing. Spawning is a thing. 2 players, 3 players out of the Geese team are dead, so they can just respawn here. If somebody respawns in here, immediately rounds this unit pretty much. Same thing can happen to Foxman. You can pull through, but are they going to respawn in time, and are they going to actually respawn in here? Because in order for that plan to work, you need to contest every single point. You cannot allow the other team to capture and lock any other points. They are going to respawn in here. Can they pull through? That's the question. Pike Phalanx is not going to be able to be used. Foxmen are pretty good because they have Hamstring, which is minus 80% speed, but only for 8 seconds. The Pike Phalanx are trying to walk around, get over the point, pull through that way, but B is already being captured. It's definitely going to be flipped. Is it going to be captured? That's the most important thing. Those pikemen need to make it on. They're not in melee. They can go into Pike Phalanx, which is what they're going to do. They're going to friendly fire each other, but that's not something they can afford. They cannot afford avoiding friendly fire. But archers, obviously, very good counter to Pike Phalanx itself, not pikes because they have Fight in the Shade. But it's one or the other. They're not going to contest B. They're not going to defend B in time. And that is a point locked. If that point locked, even if C would be contested right now, just locking point B essentially wins the battle for White Wolves. A is actually still under the control. They've managed to contest A just before it got flipped. Oh, no, it has been barely pushed out. They need to push out that cavalry, and then A will be captured. So as soon as that cavalry dies, it's dying very, very quickly against so many melee units. Yeah, A is going to be flipped and captured if that cavalry if they can stop that cavalry, if that cavalry makes it on top of it. It's going to be contested. More and more melee units are trying to make their way on top of it. And actually the Geese team is a little bit mismanaging in there. There's an open path to contest. Why are you contesting? I mean, yes, your cavalry is contesting, but cavalry cannot really survive for that long, so you need infantry inside. As that infantry gets inside, but it will quickly get itself surrounded and routed. There we go. And they are a huge numbers advantage, but they have actually positioned quite well. That unit has positioned itself in a position where the cavalry was protecting his flank, but now the cavalry has run away. That unit is going to be surrounded and routed. C is contested, so Geese needs to contest B as quickly as it unlocks. If they don't do that, they lose, because they need White Wolves to gain 0 points per second, and that is the only way they can win, given that White Wolves are only 110 points away from victory. And now the opposite is happening. E is being contested by White Wolves rather than B being contested by Geese. C contest has also dropped. Again, contesting points is not a very sustainable strategy, but when you're in this situation, you need to do that. Other than that, it is going to be a White Wolves victory in barely half a minute. So that will even out the score 1-1. Very well played by both teams, but well, the power of the healing zone was just too much for the Geese team to handle in this match, as it was too much to handle for White Wolves in the previous match. Although White Wolves have done a lot of mistakes in the previous battle. So yeah. So there's that. I mean, they lost the previous battle by their own mistakes, essentially, on their own wish. But this time, it was the Russians, maybe not with a lot of mistakes, but at the beginning, when they get back-capped, that was huge, and that single back-cap that they have, well, they have fucked up essentially in there. It wasn't much of an outplay, it was their fuck-up, it was on them to not leave a unit on top of it, because if they just get a unit on top of there and not move it, that's all you need to do. And that thing wouldn't have happened. They would have captured B much more easily. They wouldn't have to commit units to go back. All that stuff. And yeah, maybe C fight would have gone differently from there. So yeah, I guess the Geese team has lost that match also by their own mistakes. So maybe in the third battle we are going to see fewer mistakes and teams winning actually on their own merit rather than capitalizing on any mistakes. That would be very nice. But with that said, until then, I'll see you on Arena's Battlefields Commanders, as I punch my desk with my elbow. Oh, that's Oasis music. Should have kicked in earlier.